What's up, everybody? It's your boy Adam. I'm back at you. It's live and in effect. It's September 14th, Sunday, and I'm just doing a live stream without any warning. I didn't tell you guys it was coming, didn't post anything in advance. So we're at zero viewers right now. That's fine. Um, this is the replacement for me sitting around on a Sunday afternoon, going to shoot a video, talk about some stuff, and not have any. Instead of just shooting a video and then having it show up a week later, doing it live. Hey, Blue Sky, what's going on? That was pretty fast to jump on the stream here. Um, but yeah, I don't really have. Well, I do have some things I could talk about. I write some things down throughout the week for this purpose, and but this will go whatever direction people want it to go once people start filing in and showing up. Blue Sky says, "Oh, so Blue Sky, you were sitting on your phone. You got some sort of notification that the live stream kicked on. Um, Maybe I'll put something up an hour or two before I do this next time. But I was just kind of sitting around this morning thinking about lots of different things, watching a bike race. But when I watch the bike races on TV, it's nice because I'll sit there scrolling my phone and I'm just kind of doing 10 other things while I'm doing that. So it's kind of like in the background. And if something happens, I'll look up and be like, oh, that was cool, and then go back down. Or, they show a lot of the scenery, the Tour of Spain. And so you're looking at the helicopter views and the mountains and stuff. It's fun to watch, but you don't have to watch it deep like some sort of crazy binge watching series on TV where you got to pay attention to it all. And so I think the biggest thing right now is this has been my topic for weeks. It seems just the low energy and feeling overwhelmed all the time right now. And I'm feeling it hard today on Sunday because I was I was so wishing that we're really slow at the bakery right now. And Saturday morning, they almost called me off a couple of Saturdays ago. The manager, when I got there kind of early, and the manager was not there yet, but she was on the phone with somebody, and she says, "Didn't Adam get my text?" And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And I look, and they had sent me a message when I was halfway to the bakery, but my phone was in my backpack, asking me if I wanted to stay home. And I'm like, and so I told her, I'm like, man, if you would have caught me, I'm like, I'm like, I leave at 6:15 in the morning. If you get me at 6 a.m. and you tell me you don't want me to come in, I would have been so happy to go back to bed. I would have been so happy to go back to bed. But she was like, well, you're here, so you may as well work. And I'm like, yeah, I may as well get the money. So I worked a whole day. And so yet the last 2 weeks on Saturday, I wake up so low on Saturdays. It's unbelievable how tired I am. And I didn't want to go yesterday. I think, shopping for a car is taking some energy away from me. When you're trying to negotiate with swindlers and trying not to get screwed while you're trying to put your life back together, it's really not. It's not a whole lot different than shopping for a new place to live. Um, and so it's leaving me low energy. Um, I looked at two cars on Thursday. I got ready to go look at a car on Friday, and No, Blue Sky, the Fiat, the dealer didn't call me back yet. And so that I wouldn't get fixated on it, I just started to look for other cars. And I found a Volkswagen Jetta on Friday that looked like it would be worth my time. And it was only 3 miles from my place. I could walk to this dealership. I would ride my bike, but I could walk there. Just a little bit farther than I would want to walk, but I could. And I called this place 2 or 3 times and left a message after the third time. Hey, I'm interested in looking at that Jetta. Feel free to give me a call. They never called me back on Friday. They didn't call yesterday. And so I'm like, what does that tell me? If you call a dealership and they won't answer the phone and they won't call you back, like, they obviously aren't in a hurry to sell their cars, I guess. But so I put that in my back pocket, and I know I'll share my screen. I showed this car, and even though it's not practical in any way, I'm actually thinking, just because of the condition that it appears to be in, I'm going to make a move to possibly go look at this Mercedes. But the problem with this one is it's 40 miles away. I mean, from the photographs, it looks like it's in beautiful shape. It's around 6,000 asking price, which according to my research is way above what the value should be on the car for the mileage it has. But it looks like it's in way better shape than anything I'm seeing anywhere else. There's pros and cons for the age. And with these, the retractable hard tops, they can have issues, but the hard top can be collapsed into the trunk manually if you have to do it manually. So like, you're never going to get into a point where the thing gets stuck and you can't put the top back up if something broke. So you can do it manually. So I called this dealership. I filled out their contact form yesterday after I got back from the bakery. And I said, get a hold of me when you can, because the earliest I can go and look at this would be Tuesday. And it's a 40-mile bicycle ride each way. And let's just suppose that I go down there and this thing looks awesome. And it seems like it's been well taken care of, and this thing's too small. I can't put my bicycle. Where am I going to put my bicycle to get home? So if I did buy this thing, I would have to drive around and go look for a bike rack to mount on the trunk, a trunk bike carrier. Saris makes them. They're available. I just don't know where I would have to go. I might have to do that homework if I buy this car. The trunk space is too small to put the wheels of my bicycle inside of it. There's not even enough room for the bike wheels in there. And the front seat, like, I could take the top down and kind of strap my bike to the seat and drive around like that dude in the Hangover movie who tried to bring home a giraffe. That would be about the best I could do without some sort of trunk mounted bike rack. And then, if I get this car, it's rear wheel drive. If I want to go up to Pittsburgh when it's snowing out, that's not the best. I can handle driving a rear wheel drive here in Houston if it snows. I used to have a Camaro, and I had to drive it in the winter a couple times. It sucked. I've driven a Pontiac Solstice, which is a lot like this. It's another roadster, rear wheel drive. I had to drive one of those. I had an ex-girlfriend who bought one, and then we went on a trip, and we were driving in the winter, and she freaked out. And so I'm like, get out of the car. I'll drive, because I'm the one who had the snow driving experience. And but this sucks. Totally sucks driving something like that in the snow. Is it a stick shift? No. I would say these are hard to find in a stick shift. The Mercedes that's Mercedes is for, I think the people that drive Mercedes typically don't want a stick shift. I'm sure that this car comes in a stick shift, but this one's not. You can see right here, it's an automatic. Um, the detailing is nice. You can see that you really can't see anything wrong with it though. But in my homework, I did see, which I can use to my advantage on Facebook Marketplace. I'll see if I can find while I talk. I think I bookmarked it. There was another one, an SLK 230 that I saw on Facebook Marketplace. I don't know how they know, but Facebook Marketplace started showing me all these Mercedes SLKs out of nowhere. I never searched for one. They just all of a sudden, they heard me talking about it. They read my Google search. I don't know, but now all of a sudden they're like, "Oh, you must be interested in Mercedes SLKs. So here's a bunch of those." And so here I found it. Let me pop this up. So entire screen. So I saw this on Facebook Marketplace, and it's a 2006 instead of a 98. Same model. I think it's kind of uglier myself. The dude has a video of the top going up and down. Where's the play button? So I don't even know if you guys can hear the audio on this. This is a good test. But in his description, it's a 19-year-old car. It has quirks. He says he has a rebuilt title. He's selling it for $3,500. If you floor it too long, the power steering goes out temporarily and comes back on after a little bit. That's weird. The airbag light is on. Small convertible hydraulic fluid drip. And then, a small oil drip. So I was like, just that alone, I'd be like, no, I don't got time for that. But it kind of puts it in my head, seeing this description for this car at this age, if those are the problems that this guy is admitting to on this private sale, then maybe those are some of the things I need to pay attention to if I were to go look at that yellow one. If I were to go look at that yellow one next week, pay attention to the hydraulic system of the roof, look under the engine and see if I can see any oil anywhere. It's got 167,000 miles. There's nothing. Here it is. I got $5,000 to $6,000 to spend. I'm either going to get a car with 150,000 miles or more. Every single car in that price range has at least 150,000 miles on it, give or take. Or if it has less than 100,000 miles on it, it's going to be a salvage title. It's been in an accident. That Fiat was a salvage title. It had 80,000 miles on it. But either way, mileage these days isn't like it was when I was a kid. 100,000 miles on a car when I was a kid, that was the end of its life. Now 250 is about where you want to draw the line. And it boils down to how well the car is maintained. If you've got a good owner who maintains it well. But I'm not going to waste a trip to go to look at this Mercedes without. I want to get a Carfax report sent to me, email, whatever. Send me the PDF. I want to look through it. I'm going to ask them a bunch of questions. I'm not just going to go down on a whim, because that's an 80-mile bicycle ride for me if I don't buy it. That's a day of my life. And I'm going to be worn out, tired for the next 3 days. I'm still kind of wishy-washy on whether I even want to do it or not. I wish I could find something close to home, but that's my biggest problem down here. I don't have anybody I can just call and go give me a ride somewhere. My friend It's 40 miles. If I call this, get the salesman to come pick you up, that I don't want to do anything that's going to put me in a position to get screwed over by the salesman. You know what I mean? Like, I want to haggle them on the price. If they drive 40 miles to come and get me, you know what I mean? Maybe after the sale, I could say something like, if we're haggling on price or whatever, and they don't want to budge, or they only want to come down a certain amount, or whatever it ends up being, I could throw in, well, if somebody could throw my bike in their trunk and follow me home, we'll do it. You know, like after the fact, I'll use that as like a bargaining chip. But you know, I'm also leery that this dealership has mixed reviews. They have a lot of 5-star reviews, but they've got a lot of reviews where people posted on Google that they bought a car and 3 days later the engine blew up. And so I'm like, I think you're going to find that with any used car dealer, because it's used cars. They buy these things at auction. They're going to, I don't know whether did the dealership detail this car, or did it come in all clean and detailed? You know, like, I'm just kind of curious as to the story of this car. Why does it look that clean? But with its age, there's got to be something wrong with it. Nobody would. But then again, who knows? I don't know. I don't even know if I want a 2-seat car that I can barely fit my groceries in. But regardless, if this car is more reliable than any regular car that I can find, then, you know, one way or another, check out a warranty program. Just good to be informed. Those car warranties suck more often than not. I got 2 stories. I've had these things more, you know, on a few different cars. When I bought my Mini Cooper, we haggled a lot, and but I was taking out a loan for part of it. I was taking out a loan for part of the car, so I wanted to have some protection. So I kind of did. I did sign up for the warranty, the used car warranties. And then within a week after buying the car, I had to replace the alternator. And when I tried to use that warranty, they wouldn't do it. Like, they screwed me over. They're like, no. They basically told me to go pound sand, and the alternator was a covered thing on this warranty. So I called the dealership and said, I want my money back for the warranty, which was like, it was a little over $1,000, maybe less. I don't remember, but maybe 800, somewhere in there. I don't remember. But anyway, I called the dealership. I said, I want my money back for this warranty, because I had 30 days. There was a 30-day like money back guarantee. They're already denying my first claim within a week after buying the car. Well, I went back and forth with this dealer. They didn't want to give me the refund. Go to the warranty company and get it. The warranty company wouldn't refund me. They said, you have to get the refund from the dealer, blah, blah, blah. Finally, I had to get belligerent and be like, look, I'm going to go to the Attorney General's office and report you as a scam artist if you don't give me a refund. Okay. So I had to come in. I had to go to the dealer and get a refund on that warranty in person. They wrote me a check, and then I deposited it. But the funny thing is that the refund of the car warranty more than paid for the alternator. I already had the alternator replaced at my mechanic, and I'd already paid for it. But the refund from the warranty paid for that. And I had just replaced the exhaust on the car. But that was something I was going to do from day one, because the exhaust had leaks. So, and I knew that when I bought the car. It was part of my negotiation. And so I already bought a new exhaust the day after I bought the car on clearance. I got a Borla exhaust for like $600 that would have been $1,200. Had my mechanic put that on. And so I'm already like, but then that refund from the warranty paid for most of that. And then the car didn't give me any problems for a long time. The car left a bad taste in my mouth for about the first 2 months. And then I didn't really have any issues with that car the rest of the time I owned it for 6 years. Nothing serious, nothing crazy. Just, old car stuff like sensors going bad and brake pads, tires, those kinds of things. Never really had a major issue at all. So that was that warranty. When I bought my Nissan Frontier, it was a 2016. It had like 20,000 miles on it. It was a very nice truck. And I already came to the dealership with financing in hand. So I already had an approval letter from the bank to buy this truck, this specific truck. And so we were haggling on the price, and they did come down a little bit from what they were asking. But they wouldn't move anymore. And so I was about to just say, well, I'll have to think about it. And I did that whole routine, and I started to get up, and they're like, wait a minute. How about if we throw in a warranty with the truck? And he hands me this brochure, and he goes, we'll get you the deluxe warranty, the top of the line, from this company called Zurich. And I'm reading through it, and it was like at least it was probably like a $3,000 extended warranty that they were just going to throw in. And of course it doesn't cost the dealership that much, but they weren't going to come down on the price anymore on the truck, but they're like, we'll throw this warranty on for no extra charge. And I'm like, yeah, okay. And then I did it. I bought the truck. And this company, Zurich, this warranty covered everything on the truck, everything, except for cosmetics. And it said that if I was on a road trip, this was part of why I did it. Like, say I'm down in Florida and my truck needs to go to the shop. They will pay for a hotel room and a rental car for me to be on this trip waiting for my truck. And there were even stipulations that, like, I can get, like, if I had a hotel booked somewhere and I couldn't make it to my destination, I could get refunds and basically it was like trip insurance, vacation insurance and stuff like that. This thing covered everything. And I took that warranty to 2 different garages. One, I needed to get an ABS sensor replaced. They covered the whole thing. I didn't have to pay $1. And the mechanic said, we normally hate working with these warranty companies because they're a pain in the ass. They said these guys were great. All we had to do was call them, tell them what's going on, send them the estimate. They paid us with a credit card over the phone. They said everything was perfect. Like, they said that was the easiest warranty company they ever dealt with. Then I had a wheel bearing that needed replaced on the rear. And my mechanic didn't even have the tools to do it. They sent it to another garage. Zurich covered the whole repair. My mechanic said, you should replace both wheel bearings because most of it, the wheel bearings, $25, $30, but the labor to take the axle off and all the crap that we have to do to be able to do that, he's like, you may as well just replace both. But the warranty company wouldn't cover both. They would only cover the one that was broke. And then he called me back. He goes, you know what? Screw it. They're going to pay for the whole thing. It's not going to cost you a dime. So if your other wheel bearing goes bad, just bring it back and they'll pay for it again, dummies. But he said they were easy to work with. All they had to do was send an itemized, estimate, and they got paid over the phone, and the deal, it was done. So I used it twice. And so I had confidence that Zurich was a good company to deal with if you're getting an extended warranty on a car. That's why I'm naming the name of the company, because I had two really good experiences with them. And I knew for a fact that if I had sold that truck, the warranty would go to the new owner. Like the warranty is bound to the truck, not the owner. So if I would have sold it to somebody, um, the next person would be able to keep whatever remained on that warranty. And it was something like 6 years and so many thousands of miles. Um, the mileage that I was putting on the truck was all road trips and long distance. I bought that truck specifically to drive around the country and sleep in the back with my camper shell top. And so it was set up accordingly. But I would still drive it around town because it's not good to just leave a vehicle sitting in your driveway for weeks on end. So like once or twice a week, I would maybe once a week, once every other week, I would drive the truck somewhere just to get it out and about. So it wouldn't sit, move rotate the tires so the tires don't get flat spots and stuff. But that truck was really not, I bought it for a specific purpose. Plus I wanted a backup four-wheel. We're in the end times. I had one four-wheel drive vehicle, my Wrangler. And my mind started to tell me, if your Wrangler ever has to go to the shop at the wrong time and, the shit hits the fan, if you will, what are you going to do? Drive around in a Mini Cooper during the end times? That's not a good end times vehicle. But this pickup truck is. So what are the chances that both of your four-wheel drive vehicles are going to be in the shop at the same time? So there were two reasons. One, because I wanted two four-wheel drive vehicles for the end of days. And the other one was because I wanted a vehicle that I could drive around the country and actually sleep inside the vehicle instead of having to set up a camp when I go on my photography trips. And the pickup truck was basically outfitted as like the permanent trip bug out camp vehicle where everything was actually in the truck all the time, stored in drawers and stuff. Whereas the Jeep was usually empty. And if I was going to go on a trip with the Jeep, I would have to load boxes of gear and all the stuff into it before the trip. So the truck was kind of set up as like a ready to go vehicle. But so anyway, the car shopping has me, my energy is low. My schedule is all out of whack. Same kind of stuff that was going on when I was looking for a place to live. Like I haven't done my laundry this week and I'm out of clothes for I'm at the point now I want to buy more bicycle shorts so I don't have to do laundry as much. Just like I'm out of whack. And it kind of seems like every day there's something going on or something that needs to be done. And it's my whole equilibrium's out of whack right now. And, there's a lot of people out there who would just say, well, you're just lazy. You're just lazy. That's what it is. And, there was a comment. It was just left 4 hours ago. It says, Michael Friedberg 4619 on a video that the last video that I posted with the Chaos to Comeback title, How Can You Be Exhausted After Good News, was the video title. And it was basically, the topic was, how can you be exhausted and all out of whack when you just got this money handed to you and you can go get a car? And that's good news. But honestly, ever since I got this good news, I've been more worn out physically and mentally than I was before that letter came in the mail. And it's weird, but I understand why. Like, I kind of get why it's happening. And Michael says that he can relate to what I'm dealing with right now. I was talking about, I was in fight or flight mode, like ready to throw down, ready to fight, all the way from 2019 to 2022. And then, you can't go through 2 years of federal prison without being on edge every single day from the moment you get up to the moment you fall asleep. And you're just looking around your shoulder. People are stabbing each other over a bag of potato chips, and it's not even a big bag of potato chips. Like I'm talking about like the snack size bag of potato chips that you get in like a Halloween bucket. People are getting stabbed because somebody owes somebody a bag of potato chips. So yeah, you're going to be in fight or flight mode the whole time that you're in that situation. And then I come home to be homeless and everything I've been through. So Michael Freeberg says, I can relate. I went through 2 years of fight or flight in the early 2010s. And when it was over and I could relax, I was dead on my days off for 2 whole months. And so, yeah, I mean, sometimes when you go through a very stressful thing, I can relate in terms of having lost a job, I was fired from my job for going to the hospital for the birth of my son in 2009. And when everything settled down and I finally got to a place where I could just relax and not feel all stressed out anymore, I crashed out. I remember for months I had no energy and I was just a complete train wreck. And it took a long time to build to where I had normal amounts of energy again. Yeah, and Blue Sky says, you have the stress of buying the right car. $6,000 can totally go down the drain if you don't get this purchase right. And that is a stressful thing. And it's, every time you go to look at a car, whether it's a private seller or a dealer, somebody's trying to swindle you, rip you off, take you for as much money as they can get out of you, and leaving you with all the problems that this car has without them having to do anything about it. And, Moonshine says with $6,000, you could do well if you're patient. And so, yeah, I'm not going to take the first thing I see. I know from experience, I've bought cars, that the more patient I am, the more something good will pop in. When I bought the Nissan Frontier that I just talked about, I had actually signed the paperwork to buy 2 other trucks and had to walk away from it after signing all the forms. The first one was a Ford Ranger FX4 4x4, but it was a little bit old. It's like a 2008, but it had a camper shell. It came with a camper shell. It was in decent shape. I could feel that the suspension needed something done to it. There was a pop every time I would make a right-hand turn during the test drive. There were a couple other things I noticed, but it was a good price. But I needed to finance a little bit of the price. And so we did all the paperwork to buy this truck, and the dealership said that all they got to do is call their bank or whatever, and it's a done deal. And then this dealership calls me up on Monday. This was like a Saturday, saying that this bank won't approve the loan unless I kick in another $2,000. And I'm like, well, I'm not going to kick in another $2,000. So I guess and they're like, well, come on, man. And they're just like trying to pressure me into it. And I'm like, I think I'm good. So we like went back and forth. They called me back later that day saying they tried to find another lender. And my credit was good at the time. But the banks were all saying that the truck is too old. And I was only financing like $4,000 or $5,000. And the banks are all saying the truck is too old. They basically want me to more or less pay for the whole freaking truck and finance like $2,000 to $3,000 of it. And I'm like, all right, forget it. I mean, for that truck, I could just wait another month and have the money to buy it outright. So I was like, I walked away. I said, no, I'm not going to do it. Thanks for your time. I was polite about it. I bought another truck on Carvana. I would never, I'll never do that. But I caved in and I'm like, I saw this really, really nice Toyota Tacoma, beautiful Tacoma with the 6-foot bed and, you know, sight unseen, of course. So I was hoping to, I'm looking at the comments here. I'll get Kobe. I'll answer you in a second here. So I was going to buy this Toyota Tacoma on Carvana and I signed all the paperwork. It was done. I got a loan and everything. When they were asking me for my paperwork, my driver's license and my insurance, I gave them, I actually put the truck on my insurance and then I sent them the insurance card and they came back and said, we can't take this. And I said, why not? They said, because your insurance expires at the end of February and here it's December. And I'm like, yeah, so what? That's the renewal date. Then I make a payment and I get I get another 6-month policy. That's how they do it. Every 6 months, it's a new policy. Or I renew my insurance every 6 months. And I already had 2 other cars on it. So so they're telling me that, like, no, we consider it to be a risk. You have to have an insurance policy with an expiration date of at least 6 months from now. And I'm like, well, I go, what the fuck is the risk? I'm like, you're taking a risk that who cares if my insurance expires 6 months from now? I could skip my payment next month and lose my insurance for not paying it. What's the difference that when it expires, I don't have insurance anymore? And so we argued about this. And I'm like, look, my insurance company told me that if I want my expiration date to be 6 months from now, I have to close my current policy and then I have to start a new policy with a down payment and pay all this money to do it. And I'm like, if you're going to get into this argument with me over the date on my insurance card after I just went and put that truck on it, then we're done. Screw it. So we canceled the sale. I walked away from it. And I had to call my insurance company and tell them to take the truck off, that I didn't buy the truck. And they didn't penalize me. They didn't charge me because we're talking about a 2-day span. I never actually, they worked with me. They were like, yeah, that's cool. Let us know when you do buy a vehicle and we'll put your new vehicle on it. We won't charge you for that truck. And so I walked away from sale number 2. And so I've been looking for a truck for like 2-3 months at this point. So all of a sudden, this white Nissan Frontier shows up. It's in Cleveland. It's a 2-hour drive. I'm like, but this thing in the pictures, it had an ARB front bumper. I bought the truck. So this front bumper that the truck came with was so badass. I hit a deer going 60 miles an hour and the deer just went boing. Like it just flew off. My son was with me. We pulled the truck off to the side of the road and I'm like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. I'm expecting to see the whole front end of my truck smashed up, headlights busted, this and that and the other thing. Cause we hit that deer hard. Like I went like bam into the steering wheel because it was a hard hit. You hit a deer going 60 miles an hour that jumps out in front of you, and that's going to be a pretty hard hit. And I'm looking over the front of the truck, and I see nothing. There's deer hair on the bumper, deer hair stuck to the bumper, and that's the only damage. And then I just left it there as a souvenir. I'm like, fuck it. And so like a couple weeks later, the rain washed the deer hair off of the bumper. But anyway, this truck came with that front bumper. It had Goodrich TA tires, the off-road, but they're Goodrich, the TA off-road tires that they make, they have a version of that tire that rides better on the road. So they felt like road tires when you're driving down the highway. They didn't make that buzzing sound, and they weren't ridiculously loud. Like they sound quiet like regular tires. But as soon as I go off road with that truck, it's digging in. I'm getting some traction. That came into play once. I drove it through a flood. Probably shouldn't have, but those tires made the difference between being able to get home and not getting home. The truck came with a bunch of other stuff included, and I ended up doing really good. Not only did I get a really good a price on the truck, I got that extended warranty thrown in for free, and the warranty company was really good to work with, and the interest rate on that pickup truck that I got was lower than the other two deals that I had walked away from previous to that. So having patience and being willing to walk away even after you've quote unquote bought the car. Because you haven't bought the car until you drive that thing off the lot. With Carvana, you haven't actually bought the car until they deliver it to you and you sign the thing saying, and you've got the keys. So you can walk away penalty free. There's no, you don't have to pay anybody. Both of those walkaways, I didn't have to pay anybody anything. Even though I signed some forms and stuff, it wasn't a done deal. You can still walk away if something's not right. It's not until you pretty much take delivery of the car that that's like closing on your house. You get the keys, it's your house. Up to that moment in time, something can come along and that's it. So be patient. I can say that from experience. Right now, I'm in this in-between state. I'm desperate, but I'm also patient. I don't know how much longer I can keep putting up with riding my bike everywhere, my bicycle, and I'm exhausted. I'm worn out. I really want a car. The bicycle is limiting me in terms of getting around town, and it's limiting my search for a car. But I'm trying not to be desperate. If I had a car already, going to look for a car would be very easy. And it would be very easy to be patient, take 3 months if it takes 3 months, haggle, be a dick, be firm, don't let the salespeople walk all over you, all that stuff. Very easy to do. I'm kind of in between. I've been in the place where I'm extremely desperate for a vehicle and I need to get a vehicle this week. And that's when you're going to get steamrolled in that situation, because you're going to go after the first vehicle that comes along that you think, okay, yeah, I can do that. And then they're going to take advantage of you. So the more you can, I walked away on Thursday knowing that I'm probably going to have to ride my bike to work on Saturday and Monday, and I'm depressed because I don't want to ride my bicycle. I need a break from it. Really need a break from riding the bike right now. I'm closing in on 4,000 miles on my bicycle since January. So I'm starting to feel it. I need a couple weeks off and I can't have it. And so there's that desperation there, but I was just Thursday, I was don't do it. Don't do it, Adam. There's something just some nagging voice, my spirit guide, Jesus, whatever it was, just telling me, don't do it. Don't do it. Just wait. And so I listened to that voice and just said, you know what? It's nice talking to you. Put my helmet on, rode my bike home. So Kobe Bronze says, hey man, do you know anything about a Toyota Hilux? I want to get one tomorrow, so need advice. Well, a Hilux, are you in the UK? Are you outside of America? You can't really get a Hilux here in the United States without them being imported. The reason being is that Lyndon Johnson signed a law that says pickup trucks have to be manufactured in America, and he put tariffs on imported pickup trucks that are so high that's why you don't see foreign pickup trucks in America anywhere. And that is also the reason, if you've ever wondered why pickup trucks in America cost so much money compared to an SUV or a car or any other vehicle. Pickup trucks are ridiculously overpriced compared to other vehicles. It's because of those tariffs and because of that law. So Toyota, all the foreign manufacturers that make pickup trucks here, Toyota, Nissan, whatever, that you can buy in America, it's because they have factories here in America that they can produce those with. But they cost so much more. Pickup trucks would not cost a fortune if that law didn't exist. But now with Trump and his tariffs, who knows what's going to happen to, like, that's something I have to think about if I'm going to buy that Mercedes. Is Donald Trump going to screw me to where if I need a part for my Mercedes, there's going to be some crazy tariff attached to it that makes it outrageously expensive, even more outrageously expensive than a part for a Mercedes might have otherwise been? I don't know. But if you want to know about a Toyota Hilux, the best, go to YouTube when you're done watching this live. Stay for the live stream, but when this is over, go to YouTube and type in Top Gear Toyota Hilux. You're going to find what I'm talking about. They did a video. The Top Gear guys did a video where they tried to destroy a Toyota Hilux and they couldn't do it. They tried for like an hour-long episode. They tried to destroy this truck and they did so many crazy things to this truck. And after it was all said and done, the truck, they couldn't destroy the truck. They couldn't destroy it. And so they put it on a pedestal in their studio where it just stayed as like a monument. They also did another episode where they took a modern Toyota Hilux and they drove it to the North Pole. They literally drove a Toyota Hilux to the North Pole on the ice. That was a crazy. Those are two, Toyota Hilux North Pole and Toyota Hilux Top Gear. Those two videos will tell you everything you need to know about a Toyota Hilux, in my opinion. They're pretty much indestructible. I don't know about the modern ones. Like, if you get one that was made last year, who knows? Because all the new vehicles that they're making are garbage now. But anyway, this guy offered me $10K, no issues. It runs fine. So I want to grab it ASAP. Does it have right-hand drive? Is the steering wheel on the right-hand side of the truck instead of the left? That could be a pain in the ass unless you work for the post office and you deliver mail. I wouldn't want to drive a vehicle with the steering wheel on the right-hand side and the shifter, especially a manual transmission. I couldn't even imagine living in Britain having to shift with my left hand. I guess you would get used to it, though. Also, wanted to know about Michelin tires. Who said that? Oh, thoughts on Michelin tires. I think he's selling them separate. Should I grab those too? I bought a Wrangler and I needed new tires on my Wrangler, and I had a mechanic who was like a really good friend at the time, and he had a garage. This is a business. I needed to get tires for my Jeep. This was ironically good timing. I needed new tires for my Jeep to pass inspection. I would have got 4 tires. It was going to cost me 4 tires. Were going to cost me like close to $1,000. More than 800, more than 900. Yeah, you can come back and watch. I'll just finish about the tires. But I did buy some Michelin tires. But the way I got them was my mechanic calls me up and says, hey, some guy just came in with a brand new Rubicon, did a wheel swap, and he's selling all 5 wheels from the Rubicon with brand new Michelin tires on them for $700. So you can get 5 wheels, 19-inch. I had 17s on my Jeep. He's like, you can get 5 19-inch rims from a Rubicon, brand new, with 5 Michelin tires on that are brand new for $700. You want to do it? And I said, yeah, I'll be down there in 10 minutes. I had to go down there with the cash. And so I got these Michelin tires. I had those Michelins on that Jeep for like 5 or 6 years, and they still weren't worn down to the point where I needed to get them replaced. My mechanic, the last time I had to get inspection, he goes, you'll get another year out of these. They were kind of like showing their age after about 5, 6 years or so, but they were still fine. Like they were still, I still have 1 more year on those tires. Sometime in the next year, I've got to replace them. And I was only rotating those 4. So the one on the spare tire didn't matter. I could just replace the 4 that were on the truck because I wasn't rotating the spare into the mix on purpose, just so that because it's a spare. So I didn't care. If I'm using it, I'm going to be using it until I get whatever fixed and then putting the spare back on the back. So the Michelins are great. They were great tires. I never had a problem with them, never leaked air, never had a single issue with those tires. The only problem I had with the wheels was that the TPMS sensors weren't compatible with the year that my Wrangler was. And so my TPS light was always on. And my mechanic was like, whatever, just change out the sensors when you get new tires, because the sensors don't cost that much money, but you're going to have to pay for me to unmount, put the sensors on, and rebalance 5 wheels. He's like, you're going to be in like $350 by the time we're done doing it. He's like, you may as well just wait until you need new tires. Then you won't have to pay for the labor, and you just have to pay for the sensors. And so that's what I decided to do, thinking that a couple of years from now or whatever, I'll just get new sensors, but these tires wouldn't die. I had these tires for 5, almost 6 years, and they still weren't worn down to where I needed to have them changed out. And I'm like, I guess I just had to ride with the TPS light on permanently. And just had to make sure I check my tire pressure every now and then to make sure that they're all in the right zone. I mean, that's not hard to do, but just every time I would go on a long drive or, every couple of weeks, check them out, make sure they're good to go. But I never had a problem with those Michelins. I would definitely Michelin. I've had other tire brands completely wear down to nothing in 1 or 2 years. And these Michelins went forever. So they might cost more, but in the long run, they cost less. If you have to replace tires 2 or 3 times in 6 years, or you get one set of tires that lasts that long, it's pay more now, pay less later. It's kind of like the difference between buying an online subscription to something and paying for 1 year, or paying month to month. You pay more when it's month to month, but maybe you don't have the money in the bank to pay for the whole year, or you want to pay month to month because you don't know if you're going to want to cancel it after 3 months. Things like that. I don't know. That's how to look at those tires. So yeah, I mean, I know that the last 2 videos have been a lot about buying cars and car stuff. But it's what Blue Sky said. It's the stress of, I don't want to throw away $5,000 or $6,000 by not buying the right car. That Subaru that I went to look at, it had so many. I couldn't count on 3 sets of hands the amount of things I found wrong with that car with my own eyes while I was looking it over inside and out. And the cosmetic stuff doesn't bother me as much as the mechanical, like the actual stuff that would cause me not to get to where I need to go. But once you start finding mechanical problems, all of the cosmetic issues start to add up on top of it. But the thing was leaking oil like crazy, and there was heavy, heavy black grease all over the brake calipers. The whole undercarriage near the engine, the whole front of that thing had just grease and grime and oil covering everything. Like, it was almost like everything was leaking fluids everywhere. And like, I'm pretty sure the CV boots were leaking grease, but I don't know. I didn't see any rips in the boots. But if they had replaced, well, they didn't look new. But there were some new parts on the car, new struts, front and rear. There were some different things done to it that I could tell. But the thing was a nightmare. That thing was a nightmare for whoever. I would not have paid $1,000 for that vehicle, because I don't even know if I'd get a month out of it. You could, if I bought that thing for $1,000 and had to put $4,000 in repairs into it, I still wouldn't trust it to go get groceries, let alone drive to Pittsburgh and back. So no, it was off the table. As soon as I got underneath it, they put it on a lift so that I could go look at it from underneath. And I'm looking at the guy and I'm like, how are you even selling this car like this? Look at this. Look at that. Look at that. And I'm just embarrassing the hell out of the salesperson. I'm like, you think I'm going to get ripped off? You think I'm that dumb? But I mean, people are that dumb. Somebody's going to go in there and buy it for whatever reason. They're just, somebody's going to buy it at some point. But I have a feeling that thing's going to sit on that lot for 2 to 3 more months, because I think anybody with a half a brain would walk away from that one. But the Fiat, that one I could see selling. I could see that one being sold. The only thing that's going to stop people is the price and the salvage title. But the vehicle itself was nice to drive. But that Mercedes, just in the photographs, it looks so nice. When you see a vehicle that looks that clean and that well maintained, and it doesn't have a single scratch on the body, it doesn't have any marks on the rims, it doesn't have any blemishes, it just puts it in your head that whoever owned this thing took care of it. And that's probably the biggest factor for me buying a car. I want to know that whoever owned it before me took care of it. So if you see that the body is covered in scratches and dents and it looks like they just didn't give a shit when they pulled into a parking lot, they'll just hit whatever. I tapped this, I backed into a telephone pole, whatever. There's all these dents and dings and blemishes, and the seat's got a big rip in it, and there's just all kinds of crap like that going on. Then it puts it in my head. Whoever owned this car before me did not care about it. Didn't care about it. Just let it go. So that tells me they didn't change the oil regularly. They didn't change the fluids. They didn't change, they only fixed it when it broke down to the point they couldn't drive it. Like they would whoever owned it probably only fixed it when they had to get it towed to the garage. Me, if I get a check engine light, I'm like, boom, on it. May not fix it today, but it's going to the shop if I have to take it to the shop. Like, I'm not even going to let a sensor get unchanged, because I don't want to be looking at this check engine light every time I drive somewhere. I might plug in my computer and clear out the codes and drive it for a day or two and see if the light comes back on and how quick does it come back on. Like, educate myself before I take it to the garage to get fixed. But I took care. I had a 20-year-old Mini Cooper S, and I had no problem continuing to drive that car. There were things that I made up my mind that if they went wrong, I wasn't going to do. Moonshine Fuel says I would not buy anything with a turbo. This Mercedes has a supercharger. The Mini Cooper had a supercharger. I was getting to the point where I felt like I was rolling the dice with my supercharger, like changing the oil in the supercharger. They say if you don't change it at a certain, like after 100,000 miles, if you don't change the oil, you're basically begging for your supercharger to blow up. So I was getting to the point where I'm like, I probably should go change the oil in the supercharger, but that's a bit of a job. It's not super expensive, but the whole car has to be taken apart to do it. And so Roger says, "Oh, what's up? Did you not want the Honda? I was replacing some radiator hoses and non-opted for it, but I can find another person who might need it." So yeah, what happened was I got some money from an account. It's a long story. Basically, back in 2022, when I was in jail, I couldn't show up to an unemployment hearing where I got fired for not taking the shot. And I had appealed. And while I was in jail, I won. And they put this lump sum payment into an account, and I never knew about it. And so 3 years later, this bank is trying to find me to give me this money. And about a month ago, they found me. And so I got all this money from them. It's not a ton of money, but I basically have a budget of $5 to $6 grand to go look at a car. And long story short, when I looked into getting a car shipped from California to here, it's going to cost me at least $1,200. And just from talking around and finding out different things from different people, I'm basically, it would take like a month from the making the arrangements to have it shipped here to when I actually get it could take a month. And what else? There was and all the paperwork and the Texas nonsense of transferring the plates and all the other stuff that goes with it. I'm in the mindset, at least for right now, to try and get a car at a dealership at a good price that isn't going to be, completely full of problems, like a Honda or something reliable, to where I can just drive home that day and be done, since I have the opportunity to do it. So that's where I'm at right now. But I guess I'm just taking my time with it and being patient to an extent. But I mean, I didn't forget about you, but if you have somebody else that might want it or need it, if you can help somebody with that, that would be awesome. I wouldn't have any hard feelings about that. But that's where I'm at with my car situation. I don't know. I could have, I looked at a car 2 days ago that I could have bought and drove home, but something told me not to. We were about $500 apart on the price when I was haggling with the dealership. And so I walked away. And if they call me back and say that they'll come down, maybe. But I walked away with the caveat of, don't get fixated on this car you just test drove. Go see if you can find something you like more. And so the next one I might go look at is a late 90s Mercedes Roadster that I showed people earlier in the video. It's in the photographs, it looks like it's been meticulously maintained and taken care of as somebody's pleasure car or something, but it's got some miles on it. So I'm not 100% convinced, but I'm pretty meticulous when I go look at a car. I'll spend a half hour looking over the car underneath and inside and out before I'll even get in and drive it. And I'm OCD. I see all the problems. So when I look at this Mercedes compared to some of the others, even the Hondas, I was going to go look at a Jetta Friday, but the dealership wouldn't return my call. So I'm like, well, what does that tell me? If the dealership, I called them 3 times, I left a message after the 3rd time, and they're open on Saturday, they never called me back. I'm like, well, you must not be in a hurry to sell cars because you were open yesterday and you never called. And so I wouldn't rule it out, but there was a Honda Accord that popped up that looked like it was brand spanking new, around my price range, and I wanted to go look at it, but the dealership in their description said price is firm, no haggle, no negotiation, blah blah blah. But I'm like, it seemed like it was still a nice car, very nice looking in the photos anyway. So I bookmarked it, and it was only about 3 miles away. But it was about 3 miles away from me, so it was easy to go look at. I bookmarked it, like I said. 2 hours later, I go to look at it again. Boom, it's sold. And it showed it. They sold it that day. They listed it that day and sold it within 2 hours, 2 to 4 hours of it being listed. It was already sold. So it was a good car. Somebody went in there and just took it. So Roger says that's cool. I'm still doing a couple of things to make sure it's maintained. Good daily driver, hoses and belts. It's a good car other than the paint if you change your mind. Yeah, I got your email address, so I'll let you know for sure. If you were closer to me, or if I kind of like, I guess I have trust issues when it comes to like the shipping companies. I just heard, and I got put in my head. I just had somebody I work with, her daughter moved from Houston to Denver. And well, here's a story. This actually got crazier than I thought, but her stuff disappeared. She moved her whole apartment, her and her husband, they moved to Denver, and the moving company disappeared with their stuff. And they went through hell. They had to live in this new apartment with nothing. They were sleeping on the floor for almost 2 months. And the moving company, turns out that the moving company had all these illegal immigrants working for them, and ICE detained the moving truck like 3 or 4 times during the month and a half or whatever, the 2 months that their stuff was missing. But the company wasn't even communicating with them what's going on. They're just like, it'll be there. It'll be there. Just be patient. It'll be there. And they were starting to wonder, did all of our stuff end up in Mexico on the side of the road and got sold? Like, but now it turns out that every time that the truck was on the move, they were getting pulled over by ICE, and the drivers are getting detained, and the truck was being impounded over and over again. And so I'm just like, I heard that like it took them 2 months to get their stuff after they moved. And I'm like, I can't deal with that. If I go and have somebody go ship a car to me, and then all of a sudden it just disappears for 2 months, and if I end up having that same thing happen to me, because, the Americans can't get jobs anymore. So, the foreigners who can't speak English get detained, and then the car gets impounded, or who knows what. Like, it's just too many things. And I just kind of was like, well, if I'm in the situation right now where this money fell out of the sky and I can do something here in Houston, go look at it myself, go do it myself, pay for the car, drive home that day. I don't even want to deal with a private seller right now just because I'm on a bicycle. And if I bought the car, now I got to go through 2 to 3 weeks of who knows what. I got to ride my bicycle to this place and fill out these forms and pay this thing. And try, like, how do I even get the license plates? I don't even know in Texas. Texas sucks when it comes to this stuff. I don't even know how it works. If I was in Pennsylvania, different story. I know exactly what to do. If I had a car already, I would be more comfortable with just, if I could drive to the different places, fine. Yeah, I would buy a car from a private seller and go do all the stuff. If you already have license plates on a vehicle, you can transfer them to another vehicle. Like, there's different things you can do. I'm on a bicycle, so I'm like, the easiest way for me to solve my problem is find a good deal at a swindler dealership, as long as I can avoid being swindled too bad. But I don't want to do a private sell. The only way I'm going to do a private seller is if I see something that I just can't say no to. And I have bookmarked a few. I bookmarked a Cherokee, but then I looked at the pictures more closely and I could see things that were wrong. Like the windshield wipers were missing. And I'm like, wait a minute. I'm looking at this one picture. It looks beautiful. And I'm like, wait a minute. Where's the windshield wipers? So I'm like, I was half tempted to reach out to the guy and say, hey, does that come with or without windshield wipers, just to be a smart ass? But I'm like, nah, forget it. It's somebody's project. It's probably a mutter. I'm not gonna, it looked nice. It looked like it was well maintained, but I just, I noticed little things and it like shuts me right off. See, the Prius you're talking about, if you're willing to drive a small car like that Mercedes, I would look at buying a Prius. There's one in Houston for $5,000 I see with 126K miles. Prius is a really good car, et cetera, et cetera. People were sending me links to cars. I have a very limited radius of travel. So if a car, like sometimes people will send me a link to a car, I got to go 60 miles away to look at it. Just to look at it, let alone buy it. If, like I said, if I already had a car or I had somebody I could call and say, hey, yo, what's up? Can I get a ride? I don't. I'm alone. I live in Houston. I have one friend, but I really can't. He's busy. He's got a lot of stuff going on. I can't just be like, hey, yo, you want to give me a ride to Houston today? I'm on a bicycle. Everything I do has to be on a bicycle. So when I'm looking at these dealerships and I'm looking at Auto Trader, seems to be like between Craigslist, Auto Trader, and Facebook Marketplace, they're all giving me different kinds of options in terms of the cars I find. But Auto Trader is like the one that's showing me the most in my budget and the radius that I can work with. So I'm like literally going to Google Maps and I'm clicking on car dealerships that are within a certain radius of where I live, going straight to their website and looking at their inventory to see if there's anything. Because the distance is a huge deal for me right now. Like if you're not in a position where you have to ride a bicycle for everything you do, and like you just don't understand the level of hassle that becomes, to the point where I'm willing to pay a little bit extra money and deal with the BS of going through a dealership if it saves me from having to spend 3 days of my life riding a bicycle all over town. Like there's a trade-off there. And I love riding my bicycle and I'm going to make videos and I'm still going to ride to the bakery on certain days after I have the car for a couple of weeks, whenever I get it. But the energy drain of riding this bicycle everywhere, it's starting to kill me. I'm getting groceries delivered to my house because I'm too tired to walk to the grocery store now. So I'm getting grocery delivery now. And that's a problem. I've had a couple of problems with that. I did get free groceries one week because they delivered it to the wrong house, but I recognized the photo that they took. So I had to walk 2 houses down the street and pick up all my groceries at the end of their driveway and come around back to my place. So I got a question about the Prius. I like the mileage that they get. I think they're ugly. And that's the thing. Okay, call me vain or whatever. I will drive an ugly car. It's not that big of a deal to me. But on the flip side, there is something psychologically that if you have a car that you like to drive and you like your car, it takes the sting away a little bit when you have to get it repaired. I've owned cars that I absolutely hated owning, hated it for whatever reason. I had a Pontiac Grand Am. That's the number one. I hated that car with passion. Not at first, but it didn't take long. I would say within a year of me owning that car, I absolutely hated this car. Every time I had to take that car to get fixed, it was just salt in the wound because I already hate this car and now I got to pay all this money to keep it on the road and I hate it. But if you have a car that you like, I loved my Cherokee. I loved my Wrangler. I liked my Mini Cooper, not at the same level. But if any of those vehicles needed to go to the shop, it's a sting. But at least when I get my vehicle back, I'm like, oh, how you doing, Jeep? Nice to see you again. And I'm like all happy and happy to be driving it again. I go in to pick up that Grand Am from the shop. I'm like, oh, you piece of crap. How many more times are you going to break down this month, you piece of trash? And so, like, there is a part of me that if I can find a car that I like in my budget, that's not a piece of junk, I will buy an ugly car that's not a piece of junk and going to fall apart all the time than a nice looking car that I like but falls apart all the time. So the thing about the Prius that scares me off is the hybrid battery. Like once the hybrid battery stops charging, isn't that like $5,000 to replace it? Like that's like replacing the engine in a regular car. And that's from what I understand, it's like $5,000 for a used battery or a reconditioned battery. And how often do they fail? I guess that's I think they're ugly, number one, but they get good mileage. And, as far as a car goes, if it's reliable, that's awesome. I had a Toyota Sienna minivan that I drove here from Jamestown. Actually, I drove it to Houston from Buffalo, New York, stopping in Pittsburgh overnight. And I took another little another detour in Mississippi to go camping for a night. It cost me $120 in gas to go from Buffalo, New York in a minivan. Cost $120 in gas to go from Buffalo, New York to Houston in a minivan. So I was like, yo, that's pretty cool. I mean, I couldn't believe it. Every time I look at the gas gauge, I'm like, when are you going to run out of gas? This is great. I filled up the tank 3 times in that vehicle. Once outside of Buffalo, just to have a full tank. I think I crossed into Pennsylvania where the gas was a little cheaper. I don't remember, but somewhere around Erie, maybe it was even Pittsburgh. I don't know. I filled the tank up on the first day. I went from there to West Virginia. And at West Virginia, the credit card reader didn't work on the pump. So I put $20 in. And then I went all the way to Mississippi from West Virginia before I had to put more gas in it. And in Mississippi somewhere, I filled the tank up. And then I got to my friend's house. And then I filled the tank back up before I returned it. Well, skip the Prius then, LOL. I agree it's better if you like what you buy for sure. Yeah, pros and cons to that. I had a Cherokee that I bought I saw it on the side of the road and I went in and bought it. But I was driving the Grand Am. The Grand Am I was just talking about was so bad. I felt like I started looking for a Jeep Wrangler. And I went from Pittsburgh to Greensburg, which is like an hour and a half drive. I pretty much didn't even know if this Grand Am was going to get me home. I'm like, if I don't buy this Wrangler today, I don't even know if I'm going to make it home, but whatever. Let's see what happens. The transmission felt like it was going to fall off the car. So bad. I could barely drive the car. And I went all the way out there. And then I look over to the side of the road about halfway there, and there's this bright blue Jeep Cherokee that looks brand spanking new, all up on a rock in front of this little used car dealership, all like, Jeeped up like they do to show them off. And I'm like, man, that looks pretty nice. And I kept going. I look at this Wrangler. It was trash. I turned around, start coming back to Pittsburgh. And it's starting to get a little dark. And I'm like, well, if that dealership's open, I'm going to stop and look at that Cherokee. I pull in. They didn't even have a price on it. So I'm like, how much you want for that Cherokee out front? He's like, $5,000. I'm like, okay, now we're talking. We go on a test drive. This thing is like, it's a 96 Cherokee. We're talking things like 11 years old. It was like maintained at a level of, it seemed like it was brand new, like showroom brand new. This thing was in beautiful condition. And I got the dealership to give me, no, he wanted like 6,000. That's right. I got the dealer to come down $1,000 and give me $1,000 for the broken down Grand Am in the parking lot that I wasn't even sure I could drive home in. I wrote him a check for $4,000 and drove the Cherokee home that night. And I wasn't like, it just happened. And that Cherokee ended up being the most reliable vehicle I've ever owned. And I loved it. I loved having that thing until the day it was gone. I loved that thing. So anytime it did have to go get, I had to replace the water pump. That's the only repair I remember having to do. And I was able to drive it home. When the water pump went bad, I was able to turn around and go back home. It was only like a mile from my house. I was able to go back home without destroying the engine. I didn't have to get it towed. I got it towed from my house to the garage, and it wasn't even that expensive to fix. And I was back on the road. And so I don't know. I mean, car shopping is just a weird. I wasn't like acting desperate when the Grand Am started to I'm like, there's no way I'm fixing the transmission on this car. This car costs more than a monthly car payment to keep it on the road. I was working for myself at the time. So in order to get a car loan, I would have had to supply, when you have all these dealerships that say, we'll finance anybody, all you need is 2 paycheck stubs. If you work for yourself and you go into that same dealership, they're going to say, we want 3 years of tax returns and 3 years of your bank statements so that we can look through 3 years of your bank statements to see that you have income. We want to see your tax returns for the last 3 years. It's not the same. They won't approve anybody. Like they say, if you have a job with a paycheck, you could make $5 an hour and you'll get approved for a loan. But as soon as you tell them you're self-employed, forget it. You're going to go through more hassle to buy a used car than you would to buy a house from a will finance anybody car dealer. So my only option at the time was to buy a vehicle cash. But I had to replace the Grand Am. I could not afford $500 to $700 a month in car repairs anymore. And when I bought that Cherokee, I didn't have to put any money into it for over a year. So it was like winner right off the bat. I won because that car was such a piece of trash. But anytime I've had to take a vehicle in that I like to get something done to it, it stings less than a vehicle that I hate. I had a Jeep Liberty that I bought because I needed to get a vehicle like right now. And the desperation factor kind of pushed me into getting something that I shouldn't have bought. I should have held out longer. I probably would have found something better that I wanted more, that I would have been happier with. I liked the Liberty at first, but after a couple of months, I just didn't like it. I didn't like the way it drove. It was an automatic. I hate the way those shift. They suck. You put the gas pedal to the floor. You're going up a steep hill and you put the gas pedal to the floor. It won't downshift. it'll just stay in like third or fourth gear, and the RPMs will start going down because you're on a steep hill or whatever, and you got to sit there and jam on the gas pedal just to get it to downshift. And all the mechanics are like, yeah, that's just how they are. They do that to meet the federal miles per gallon requirements and stuff. The only way that I could get that Liberty to shift better would be to reprogram it with like an aftermarket tuner to get it to shift when you want it to shift. Now, I had an automatic when I bought my Nissan Frontier pickup truck. That damn pickup truck was faster than my Mini Cooper before I loaded it down with heavy stuff for what I had built it for. But when I had that truck naked with no camper shell on the back and no drawers and no deck, when the bed was completely empty, that truck was so fast. So that was like, even my son was like, man, my son made this face like he wasn't expecting that truck to be that fast. But it would have smoked my Mini Cooper in a drag race. I was shocked the first time I drove that pickup truck, how fast it was and it shifted great. And I loved it. And it was an automatic, but I absolutely loved that truck. So I don't know. I'm just kind of like, I don't know if I'm going to have a vehicle this coming week. I would love to. I got Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday to figure it out. But once again, I'm on a bicycle. If I go and look at this Mercedes, that's a 40-mile bicycle ride to get to the dealership. And if I find out that I don't like it or I find things wrong with it, then I'm going to be pissed having to get back on my bicycle and ride 40 miles home. And if I buy it, I still got to figure out how to get my bicycle home because it can't fit a bicycle in that car. And I don't even know if I'm going to go look at it. I got to see the Carfax. I got to see I want the dealership to take a photo under the hood. I want to see some different things before I waste a trip to go down there because of the distance. If it was like 5 to 10 miles away, I wouldn't have any problem getting on my bicycle and go. But 40 miles is a bit of a stretch. But it just looks like it looks like a little bit of a unicorn, but it could be leaking oil. It could have it could have problems that you can hide with a detailer, especially under the hood. If they steam cleaned under the hood and they're hiding everything that's wrong with it, you just got to be careful. I don't know. I guess I've bought enough cars and I've known enough mechanics in my life, and mechanics have shown me, when I was younger in my 20s, I had mechanics that I could take with me to go look at cars, and they would just be like, look at this, or look at that, shake this, look at that. Oh, that's broke. Oh, that's going to be expensive to fix. And I've walked away from so many cars because I had somebody at my side guiding me through it. And now you've got YouTube. So before I went to look at the Subaru, I watched a Subaru mechanic on YouTube go through like a 15-point inspection. He's like, if you go look at a used Subaru, here are the things you got to look for, this, that, and that. And I just kind of primed myself to know what to look for and where, aside from like the normal stuff. But like, what are the Subaru things that you need to look for specifically? And so I was prepared to go to that dealership and get, and just kind of look it over. But I found so many, like I would say within less than a minute, I was already convinced not to buy the car. And that was before I even put my head underneath the car to see what was going on down there. That was before I even opened the hood. Just the things I saw on the interior told me a lot. And, but my budget, like I said, is $5,000 to $6,000. So yes, I can. Now that Cherokee that I bought was almost 10 years old and it cost me $5,000. Well, $5,000 with $1,000 in trading in a jalopy. And that worked out great. That was one of the best buys. I would be willing to bet that total cost of ownership over the time I owned that vehicle that was probably the cheapest vehicle I ever owned in terms of the total cost that I owned it, the total cost of ownership, the purchase price, the tax, the repairs, all the things that go into owning a vehicle. For the whole time I owned it, I probably took it to the shop once a year, and I owned it for quite a while. And I probably own it today. I don't think they're like the Toyota Hilux video. You can't make the engine in one of those stop turning over. I don't know how. Some people stole it. It was in a high-speed police chase, crashed into a low wall, caught on fire, burned for about 20 minutes on fire, and then the fire department had to come and put it out, and then it was towed to the impound lot. And the impound wanted to charge me $150 to have it towed from where it was parked at the impound lot to the front of the lot so that I could have a tow truck come and get it from there. And I was like, get out of here, give me the key. And then I go and I get in. Well, all I needed was a screwdriver. I pulled the screwdriver back, started right up without any hesitation at all. And I drove it out of the impound lot out to the front parking lot at the impound to where a tow truck was waiting to put it on a bed and take it to a dealership. That I still traded it in for like $1,000 towards the Liberty that I bought, even though it was completely unsafe to drive on the road. Proclaim from the Roof says, I have a Volkswagen Jetta and not realizing all the things I needed to know, but after lots and lots of repairs, it runs excellent and has been for a couple of years. And the Jetta, I'm assuming a Jetta, have not always been easy to get fixed because of the parts and because of how to get stuff for the way this vehicle is because it's foreign. Yeah, that's another thing about this this Mercedes I'm thinking about. I already know from experience that my Mini Cooper, I had a good mechanic and they worked on BMWs, but a Mini Cooper from 2002 on is a BMW with a Mini Cooper logo. That's why they're always sold at BMW dealerships, because that's who makes them. So the parts now my Mini Cooper was almost 20 years old and I'd need new brakes. And my mechanic would say, well, it's going to take about 2 weeks. Why? Because we can't find the brake pads anywhere. We've called Napa. We've called all the parts. We've called all our parts guys. We have to order the brake pads online. So sometimes I would wait 2 weeks to get my brakes done on my Mini because they couldn't get the parts. So 1998 Mercedes is probably going to be the same kind of deal where if I do need to get it fixed, I'm going to be riding my bicycle for 2 to 3 weeks and then what bothers me is if I try to go to New York and back or to Pittsburgh and back and something happens, am I going to be stranded somewhere for a week because I can't get a part for the car? Or, so these things go through my mind. That's why I'm kind of like wishy-washy on, do I go on a 40-mile ride to look at a car that I may or may not. But on the flip side, if this Mercedes is in way better shape and condition and it's just been meticulously maintained and it's in a really good condition compared to some of the jalopies I've seen for the same price, I might be more inclined to buy it because of how, I don't know. But, in this budget, if I had 10 grand or more to spend, I'd probably be comfortable. There'd be a whole lot of options in front of me. But 5 grand is kind of like, it's like the level where you got to like really do your homework and you really got to look at things and just sit tight and wait for the right thing to come along. And So, but it's stressing me out a little bit. I'm not in a bad mood. My energy is just low lately. And so, like I have I'm just overwhelmed and I just don't have the energy to do some things. I haven't done my laundry in a week and I need to do it today because I won't have cycling shorts for tomorrow. So, and that's a process. It's like even doing laundry in this place is more, it's not like I can just throw it in the washing machine and put it in the dryer. It's a little bit more complicated than that. It's not a lot of work, but for 2 hours out of my day, I basically I'm going to clean the house for 2 hours while I do laundry and just get the place as clean as I can. But it's kind of like one of the things I wanted to, one of the things that was on my mind when it came to doing a video today. I wasn't planning on talking about car shopping for 2 hours. It was just that low energy and feeling overwhelmed. And I just put up a video a while back about how can you feel like crap after you just got good news. And so it's kind of like you've got physical issues and mental issues. And there's a stigma. People are going to call me lazy. Get off your lazy ass and just go do it. Like David Goggins. If you follow David Goggins on Instagram or wherever he publishes his videos, I read his book when I was in prison. David Goggins is just going to be like, shut up, you lazy asshole, and go do it. Stop making excuses. Just get up and do it. I just woke up at 4 a.m. and ran 100 miles, and now I'm going to go lift weights for 6 hours. It's like, great, David. That's great. But you are a multimillionaire now, and, you've got nothing else to do but get up at 4 a.m. and go jog 100 miles and then go to the gym and work out for 6 hours. Most people don't, we got jobs and we got things that we have to do. So I get it. You're a tough guy. Took you 3 times, but you became a Navy SEAL. You're a tough motherfucker. I get it. I got no beef with the guy. He gives you a lot of good advice, but he would call me a lazy asshole right now for being in a slump. And the whole point I'm making about that is, Blue Sky says, if your body says rest, then you probably should. And that's just what I'm getting at. But the stigma around it is, if you take a day off from work because you broke your leg, nobody questioned that. If you have a hard time getting around because you broke your leg, once again, no problem. Nobody's going to give you crap about that. If you can't do your job, if I can't go to the bakery because I broke my arm and I can't do cookies all day and lift things and do all that, nobody's going to fire me for that. Nobody's going to think any less of me. They're just going to be like, man, we want you to feel better. Come back in when your arm is healed, whatever. But if you have like the slightest indication of any mental issue, if your mind is broke, that's the opposite. Every single person will turn their back on you in the blink of an eye. Your friends will want nothing to do with you. You'll get fired from your job. If you need a mental health day, they're going to look at you like there's something like, we got to get rid of this person. You need a day off because you broke your arm, no problem. You need a day off to clear your head. Oh, you're a lazy piece of shit. We got to get rid of that guy. Every aspect of your life will be ruined if you hint to other people that something's wrong in your mind. And really, the only exception to that would be like a death in the family. Someone that you care about. Your mother just passed away or something like that. That is an excusable mental illness break from your job where people aren't going to stigmatize you and try and turn their back on you and run away because they're afraid of people like you. But even in that situation, there's like a set standard of time that you're allowed to grieve but you have to snap back to normal and act like nothing happened within like maybe 2 weeks, 3 weeks. You have there's a clock running. If your mom dies and you go to the funeral and you take some bereavement time off, there's a clock running. And if you don't come back from that and act like everything's cool and nothing happened within a couple of weeks, it's over. Everybody's gonna people will turn their back on you so fast. You'll find out who your friends are and who they aren't. And I got a story around this. So I dated this rich girl. I'm talking rich girl. They rented a mansion in Ohio because that's where her dad's company was. But they also had a mansion in Dallas, Fort Worth, and they had a mansion down in Cabo. So I mean, this is big money family. Don't ask me how. I think there's so much weird shit to this story. But anyway, she worked for her rich dad's company in Ohio. And she used to complain to me that all her coworkers treated her like she was just some useless rich daddy's girl. And she actually was pretty smart. I'll give her that. She was smart, capable. I knew she wasn't a dummy, but she did things. She did things all the time that would do nothing to help her reputation among the coworkers of being daddy's little rich girl who got a job just because it's, daddy's little rich girl. And so one example, she took 3 months off from the job to grieve because her dog died. She went down to Cabo San Lucas and stayed at her daddy's mansion for 3 months because her dog died. And then when she came back to work, she starts telling me about the attitude that people were giving her and the stink eye that she was getting when she came back to work. And I looked at her and I'm like, well, duh. Because I didn't care. This girl, I think part of the reason she was attracted to me is because I didn't care what came out of my mouth and I would just be real with her. And so I'm like, yeah. But I told her, I said, well, you live in a rich girl bubble, so you'll never understand what I'm about to tell you. But here's how it works, honey. Like, I worked with a guy whose baby died, had a son. A couple months after the baby was born, 1 or 2 months old, the baby died. And of course, everybody at work, we all expressed our sympathy. I mean, I could put myself in that guy's shoes. I have children. We all understood that he needs time off to deal with this. So he took about 2 to 3 weeks off from work to grieve and go through what him and his wife were going through after his baby died. But then guess what? He had to come back to work. He had to come back to work after a few weeks off. And he had to come back. He's got bills to pay. And I don't know what the company policy was in terms of bereavement time and taking time off for something like that. But he wasn't going to get paid to go away for 3 months. And if he decided he needed to leave for 3 months to get over it, there's a chance he would have been replaced by somebody else, because maybe just out of necessity, because the company needs somebody to do his job and to make sure that the work is being done, not even like a personal vendetta against him. So I'm telling this girl, I'm like, at your daddy's company, your employees aren't even going to be able to take a 3-month break from their job if their baby dies. So how do you think these people feel when they know daddy's little rich girl disappeared for 3 months to go cry in a mansion down in Mexico about her dead dog while she lies on the beach? And I'm like, I'm trying not to be a dick, but, I am what I am. So, I mean, she got really insulted when I told her this, but I'm like, somebody's got to tell you. Somebody's got to tell you. And if maybe it has to be me. I don't know. And I get it. You're emotionally attached to your dog. Modern women, they love their dogs more than they love children. Usually they like animals more than kids, unless they have kids of their own, which she didn't. So, that's a whole nother topic we could do a whole 2-hour video on. But her dog died and she was emotional about it. And she took 3 months off from her job when her dog passed away. And then she couldn't figure out why her coworkers were all acting and giving her the stink eye and giving her attitude when she came back. And I'm like, what would your dad do if your coworkers took 3 months off because their Rottweiler died? Your dad would fire them. So shut the fuck up. Just shut the fuck up and live in the real world for 5 minutes and stop crying to me about the stink eye that you got after that, and like live in the real world. Like understand how real people live their lives for 5 fucking minutes. You know, and this girl, she was so rich. She could be bored on a Tuesday morning and call up the airport and order some first class tickets to New York City, have a chauffeur drive her to the airport, get on an airplane, first class, fly to New York City, have another chauffeur drive her down to Tiffany's and go purse shopping at the Chanel store, buy a $20,000 purse, go get frozen hot chocolate at Serendipity, have her chauffeur drive her back to the airport and fly first class back to Pittsburgh, and have another chauffeur drive her back to her mansion in Ohio. And that's how she, like, I was just bored. I wanted to go shopping. Like, that's her life. That's where, and I'm like, so I'm just telling you, I'm like, honey, you don't even, like, you can't even put yourself in the position of like what a real person goes through in life. So yeah, unfortunately, when you come back from a 3-month grievance because your dog died, your coworkers are going to give you the stink eye. And sorry, I had to be the one to tell you that, but that's what happens. That's what happens. They think you're a spoiled rich girl, because you are. And so we'll just leave it at that. But I mean, this girl, she toyed around with me a lot. And she wasn't girlfriend material because of how she acted towards me. And so, I mean, we had fun. We got along pretty well. But she would do a lot of things to push me off. And it ended up being like this friend with benefits weird ass thing where she would just show up every now and then. And at some point, I just blocked her phone number because I just didn't want to deal with her anymore. And that's why I didn't care about being blunt with her. But she told me, I guess it was like her Princess Leia Han Solo fantasy. I was the scruffy nerf herder, slimeball space smuggler with a broken down spaceship that I won in a poker game. And she's driving around in a Mercedes G-Wagon or her Lexus convertible or her Range Rover or whatever other expensive shit she had in her 10-car garage. It's just another example of how people don't respect mental issues like they would if someone had a physical issue. If she had to miss work for 3 months because she was fighting cancer, nobody would disrespect her for that. In fact, she'd probably be getting all kinds of flowers and sympathy cards, and her coworkers would probably generally care about her. She was a nice girl. She wasn't like an asshole. She didn't treat people badly. She wasn't a snotty, like, I could tell she was a pretty friendly person. And I'm assuming, I didn't work with her, but I'm assuming that she didn't go into the office and treat people like crap. But, you know, there's some stuff that she would do that, you know, Jared says, respect isn't given, it's earned. Exactly. She didn't earn their respect. She could have done things a little bit different and still been a rich girl and got the respect of her coworkers. But taking 3 months off to grieve for a pet, you know, when these people that work for you aren't even able to take more than 2 weeks off if their own child died, you know, of course you're going to come back and get the stink eye when they all know what happened and why. So sabbatical. Yeah, Jared says 3 months off for a dog is rather excessive. Just call it a sabbatical at that point. I mean, you'd get more respect if you just said, I need a sabbatical, than I need to go cry about my dog for 3 months. But I get it. You know, if people want to call me lazy right now, it's fine. I get that from here and there from people. Um, I give it to myself because there's so many things I need to get done that are just on the table right now. I have no energy, like just chores. I've got to do laundry today. It's 2 in the afternoon here right now, and I'm going to get started when I get off of here. But it's you know, I'm going to get started on it, but I'm going to get started on it, but it's still, I'm slowing down. And, but you know, I'm out in the open about it. You know, you should hide these things, you know, from people that you don't want people to know you want to hide your weaknesses and whatnot, especially around people that you work with. You don't want people to know that, you know, you got something going on and you have no energy. You're just setting yourself up to get thrown in the can. I'm just sharing it right now because it's part of my story of, you know, this is what you're going through when you come back from a fall. It's not always going to be sunshine and rainbows. I'm going to have some really good days. Like the day I moved into my apartment here was a really good day. I was thrilled. And for 2 months, I was feeling really good about it. And I still am. But then my energy took a nosedive. And I think it's just has a combination of being able to relax after being in fight or flight mode for several years without a break. And now I got to go shopping for a car, which is, they say it's one of the most stressful things that you do because you're trying to dodge the shady slime ball, rip off artist salespeople. You're trying not to get swindled. You know that if you buy the wrong car that has all kinds of problems and issues, it's going to be worse than not having a car. And so and the fact that I don't have a car and I don't have insurance payment and all the things like that, it's like, it's just I'm in a hurry to get a car, but I definitely don't want the salesperson to know that. So, and I'm just kind of burned out. But I know that the day I get a car, as long as it runs, let's give it 3 weeks after I get a car. If I have no problems with it, I should be in a pretty good mood and rested and recover. I'm not recovering from my bicycling right now. I'm just getting more and more drained every time I go on a bike ride right now, other than occasionally I get a burst of energy and I can ride really fast. Like yesterday morning was one of my slowest bike rides in a long, long time. I had no energy at all. Somehow on the way home, I was flying. On the way home yesterday, I warmed up for about not even 15 minutes, and I was throwing down the hammer and I was riding fast all the way home. In fact, I looked down and my heartbeat was at 171. And I was like, you should slow down because you don't want to hit the wall before you get home. And so I chilled out for a minute on this one road and let my heart rate get down to 150 before I just decided, okay, I'm good. Started hammering again because I just knew I don't want to kill myself on the way home. And when you have a heart rate monitor, you can pace yourself a lot better, or you can see like, yo, back off a minute. Because you've got distance to go. It's not like you're sprinting, you know, it's not like the 100-yard dash. You got 6 more miles to go. Don't make that last 3 miles miserable because you're having fun now. And so, but anyway, you know, I don't know if people want to, you know, here and there, people will think I'm lazy, whatever. And I'll get that vibe from somebody here and there. I know, I mean, I have here and there since I've been in Houston. You know, you know, even if people don't come out and say it. But I'm just being open because it's part of my story right now. and the comeback is not always a smooth line. Anybody who took a big fall like that's going to go up and down on their way up. I'm trying to lose weight and I'm going up and down, up and down, up and down all the time. And I mean, just being on probation right now, somebody that doesn't know my story that I'm talking to, I'm still not comfortable telling my story to this person, but I said that I would. I'm like, just not now. Suggested something to me, and I couldn't turn around and say, well, I'm not allowed to leave Texas anytime I want, because then that's going to open Pandora's box. Well, why? Why can't you leave Texas anytime you want? And so, not seeing my kids for 3 years. I've missed my son's 13th, 14th, and now 16th birthday. The car situation, like we were talking about, I would say ever since this money fell out of the sky and I got that letter in the mail, and it took over a month from the day I got that letter to actually get the money. That was stressful. I mean, I'm just kind of burned out. And so I'm just kind of like trying to sit back and say, okay, God, make it clear what vehicle you want me to get. If you don't want me to buy this or that car, make it so I can't. Like, just make it so that the paperwork won't go through. That's kind of what happened when I was talking about that pickup truck, where I walked away from 2 after signing the papers, but I didn't take possession of it yet. Because God wouldn't make the paperwork go through no matter what I did. And finally, I would just be like, all right, that must be a sign that this isn't the one. And, a few weeks go by, and then this perfect opportunity pops up, and it ends up being the one. And after it happened, I'm like, thank God I didn't buy either of those other vehicles. This is way better. This is way better right now. So Blue Sky says, is the Discord open right now? Yes. I don't know how to I don't know how it works, but it is connected. There's a Discord server. Let me see what I can pull up. Let me open it. I got to log in. I'll share my screen here in a second. Where's the server? I don't understand Discord at all yet. Because I've used it here and there, but I don't understand it. It's a weird. How do I even see the server I created? Oh, it's right here. Best Friends Club. Okay. So I set up a Discord server for the members of the channel. So it ties into YouTube, and hold on a second. It's tied into YouTube. So it's supposed to. Is that on? Okay. It's getting hot in here. I turned off the AC for the sound so it wouldn't be in the background, but you do that for like an hour in Houston and the temperature of your home goes up 30 degrees. The Discord is for the channel members. I don't know what you have to do in order to come in here and join it. So this will evolve. I called it the Best Friends Club. So I don't know. I can send you here. Let me see what happens here if I invite your friends. So I'll share this link in the chat. It should be where you can't join unless you're a member of this channel. So if I go here, so if I were to do a incognito window and put that in, what does it do? Um, Gaming Light invited you to join the Best Friends Club. One online, one member, blah, blah, blah. And then I don't know if you have a Discord account, you should be able to go there. But I know there should be something in place that you have to go. There's somebody in there now, I think. I don't know how any of this works. I know that I set up this thing to be members only, but if people show up without being a member, I don't know. I have no, like, I really gotta, there's a learning curve for me on this because I can't be an expert on everything. So, but I know that when I set up the server, I have it so that it should be YouTube members only. Like, I don't even know what setting I went to set this up. Like, there's all this stuff on the left-hand side, and I flat out don't remember how I did it. I could even probably do something where there's a, well, I don't even know. I don't know what I don't even know where to go here. I can't remember. There's a profiles. Is that where it was? No. I have no idea. I got to do some homework on this one. This will evolve. It's there. It's definitely there. I just don't know how to, I don't know what to do. I don't know how to use it yet. So my bad. But everything is a learning curve for me. Like when I did this channel membership thing, it wasn't something I wanted to do. It was just YouTube's going to give me $600 if I turn it on. And I'm like, okay, fine. But it kind of pushed me to change the direction of what I'm doing on the channel a little bit, to do more live streams versus the video updates that I was doing, because now I can directly interact with you guys, and I have an internet connection that can support it now. So that's cool. Back when I was doing, even when I lived in that tool shed, I couldn't do live streams. I could have probably done live streams from my friend's house, but I only recorded videos from his house when him and his family were gone, like out of the house. I would do a video recording, and that way there's no interruption. I'm not interrupting them, and they're not interrupting me. I had a little space up in the loft, but it was, it didn't have like a door I could shut. So I didn't want to be a pest. And plus I didn't want their noise in the background. And, so I did what I could do from there. And, but now that I have the, the internet connection to do live streaming that's stable enough for that, we're good. I just gotta figure out how all this stuff works and have the time to do it. And right now, car search Thursday, just going to look at 2 cars on Thursday. That was my whole day. I had to call the dealership. Then I had to get prepared and do some homework on it. Then I had to pack up and get my bicycle and go down there. I was down at that dealership for probably 2 hours, give or take, ride my bicycle home. I just went straight home actually. And that was Thursday. Yeah. And so, by the time I got home, it was like, I don't know, 5, 6 o'clock in the evening, close to it. And it just, like, my whole day was gone. And it's going to happen. That's going to be until I get a car. I'm going to end up being like that. Like I'm just going to lose time on different things. And yeah, I'm just going to I'm just kind of looking through my notes here. So yeah, there's that. I mean, it's just gonna, I have to accept the fact that my routine is gonna be out of sync until I figure out how to get this car, which car and all that. And so when I figure it out, my routine is gonna be out of whack, but probably better out of whack because I'm just looking forward to the day that I'm like sitting at home and I'm like, you know what? I want to go do something. And I can just go drive to a park and go on a hike. Or I can drive to the grocery store or go pick up something to eat. Or just like normal things that you can do when you just like a normal thing that you do when you have a car. Like basics. Because right now, like I didn't brew coffee this week for my cold brew coffee. I didn't brew any because I was just too caught up in this whole car search thing. And so I had to go to the grocery store, and it was like too late to get groceries delivered because I can't get groceries delivered after the sun goes down or the driver won't. It causes too many problems if it's too late in the day. That's how my groceries got delivered to the wrong house a couple of weeks ago. And so I was like, I got to walk to the grocery store. And it sucked, even though it's a mile each way, but that was like an hour to an hour and a half just to walk down, get some coffee, come back. I got like 3 days worth of cold brewed coffee, store bought, just so I'd have something. Like my whole routine's out of whack. And like just being able to go grocery shopping, put my groceries in the trunk and come home. Like, oh my God, that will feel so amazing. Like you can't, if you've had a car your whole life and you've never had to like live like that you would never understand how grateful I'll be just to be able to do that. Even if I bought that stupid little Mercedes that has no room in it for anything, like, I mean, I would like a vehicle I can carry my bicycles in and that kind of stuff. So that's kind of another factor with this car that I don't know about. Just being able to go get groceries, though, would be amazing. Being able to go to the beach at Galveston and sit on the beach for a day or two and and drive home. Like, I don't even know if I buy a car, I probably won't even do something like that for a few weeks just because I don't want to go too far away from home with a car like that I don't trust yet. Like, I don't want to get stranded somewhere on the other side of Houston. Like, it's different if I lived somewhere where I had people I could call, like so and so or such and such. Hey, can you come and get me a ride or what? Like, I'm alone down here, alone except for one friend who's got a family and a kid and all kinds of stuff going on. I can't just be like, hey, come and get me. So, okay. So, Proclaim from the Roof says, speaking of when your arm is healed, I fell off a ladder cleaning a house 3 weeks ago, still in a lot of pain. I cannot clean the way I did before for a while. I hear that. She asks, what do the crowns mean? A crown posted with my last message. Please forgive me for being slow. Someone told me what it was, a few live streams ago. I forgot. I guess Blue Sky, I don't know. Blue Sky says it's something that YouTube started doing about how often you comment. Okay, so whoever leaves the most comments gets the crown, I guess. The little star next to Blue Sky's thing means that she's a channel member. I know what that is, and I'm gonna customize those. But you're talking about tiny little icons, so I don't know. Give me some suggestions of some custom icons that would be cool for both channel members and emojis that you can use. I guess the members can use emojis with when they post comments on videos and stuff like that. And hold on, what is this? Is this what happens whenever I go to YouTube? I don't know if this happens to you, but all I have to do is open that stupid app. And whatever I went to YouTube to do, forget it. Like, I have to go to YouTube like 5 times before I remember to do the thing I went there for, because something catches my attention. And I'm like, what is that? Click. Oh, okay. I just had to bookmark a video thumbnail that I saw because I'm like, I got to see that later on today. But it happens every time I go to YouTube. If I go to do something specific, it just completely, I'm there 10 minutes later. I'm like, why am I even here? I can't even remember. It's such a distraction. I'm just pulling up the memberships here. Okay, here we go. Levels. Nope. What is that? Badges. This is what we're at. All right, I'm going to share my screen. So with the badges, I can customize all of these icons to be whatever we want. For badges will appear next to members' names and comments in the live chat, etc. And I can upload my own. And I can upload whatever, they've got the specifications here for the file formats and stuff. But as a designer, it has to be really simple. You can't have a complicated image inside of a tiny little, look at the size of the icon next to Blue Sky there. And, it has to be an icon. It has to be something simple. So I don't know what they will be. I'm just going to play around with that. But it's super easy to customize those. Same with the emojis. Now, the way the emojis work, I can do 4 emojis and give them a name. So, like, I could have, like, a happy face or a sunglasses face or something. I could have, like, a cool hand or something like that, like hang bro or whatever. I could do, like, the middle finger. I could do whatever. But I can do 4 emojis. And I have to have, it says I have to have 1 more member to get, basically the more members that join, the more emojis I can create. So right now I can create 4 custom emojis. And as there's more members on the channel, I can create more of those. So, yes, get rid of that. So that's that. And then, like, if you go to my channel, I don't know what you see exactly, but I should, if I click on membership here, this is generally what you'll see when you click on the join button or you click on the membership tab. This is what you should see. I don't even know everything that's in here. There's just so much stuff going on. But I am going to fill in all these different things, and I will start doing. So Blue Sky, if you want to do a members only live chat and you're the only member, let me know. Send me you can send me a direct message at adam@litgood.com is my email address. I don't think YouTube has a way to send me a direct message. but my email is the easiest way to get a hold of me, and it's in the description for this live chat today. And that actually reminds me of something. If I go to, let's see, video, live, we're on here. Okay, I'm going to click on the live stream. I hope I don't get the audio doubling up. Hold on a second. Stream, I hope I don't get the audio double. Uh-oh. There we go. Uh-oh, it's going to do the whole, let me hit pause. It was going to start doing the infinite, like looking at yourself in a mirror with a mirror behind you thing. But when you click on the description under the video here, if you want to help the channel, I'm going to start plugging this at all the videos. So I set up another Amazon affiliate account, and in every video description here, if you want to help the channel and you're going to go buy something from Amazon, if you click on this link right here, it'll take you to the Amazon homepage, but it'll tag you as coming from my YouTube channel. And so for 24 hours after clicking on that, if you were to buy something on Amazon, they'll send me a small cut of whatever it is that you buy. I tried it once a while back. Somebody did buy something. I got like 50 cents for it. But I didn't promote this a lot. I didn't put it out there. And so I didn't I didn't pimp this thing out. I didn't even talk about it that much. And you have 180 days to get 3 qualifying sales. And then they go and review your channel or something like that. And then there's this whole thing that they do. But I never got the 3 qualifying sales because I didn't really try too hard. And so I just let it go. So that meant that I had to start a new affiliate account when I was ready to do it again. And so I'm going to try and push it a little bit harder. Oh, Jared says, are you going to do a I'll try to remember next time. Are you going to do a public wish list or no? I might. I mean, it's all time. It's just all time that I got to spend on. Like right now, my mind is like, get a car. And everything else is falling off the wayside. And so if I sat down and wrote down everything I want to do that's on a to-do list or everything I need to do, honestly, I would just be depressed at the end of the day because it's too much for anybody to do. So I got to figure out what to do. Yeah, I got to prioritize everything again. And I'm just trying to get, oh, that's weird. This is all supposed to be Markdown. All these stars here. That's weird. That should all be bold text. So I'm going to have to look into that. There's something else I got to look into right there. All these things with the 2 asterisks on either side, that's all supposed to be in Markdown text as bold. And now I wonder if YouTube stopped supporting Markdown because it's just another thing, another thing to figure out. Great. What's going on there. So, but anyway, if you click this Amazon link, it doesn't cost you anything. So if you go there and you click on that affiliate link, pretty much all the YouTube channels out there do this to some extent. So that just puts money in their bucket. For me, I look at it like I'm playing the long game. If I end up getting thousands of subscribers at some point, if I can break through the shadow ban on this channel and start getting new subscribers again, which I haven't gained one single subscriber in 15 months, 16 months now. I got 1,200 subscribers in 60 days, and then YouTube just capped it. Not even one subscriber in 16 straight months. Not even one. So that would be enough to make most people quit. But I'm doing it for other reasons. And I don't, even when I started doing this, I was like, if 10 people watch these videos, that's fine. I don't care. So, you know, it's all good. But, I got to break through their shadow ban. It's one thing or another. And I'm like, if YouTube shadow bans my channel and they don't allow me to get another subscriber in 16 months, why are they telling me they'll give me a $600 bonus for turning on channel memberships? Like, that don't make any sense to me. Why would they do that? So it kind of tells me that maybe the door is open to break through to a different level, but I feel like I just got to do things a little different. I'm not saying I'm not going to stop saying the wrong things. COVID was a scam. Boom. Shadow banned. I'm not going to change my mind about the crooks that are ripping us off in society because I'm afraid of my YouTube channel getting a hit. A lot of people do. A lot of people will be like, a lot of the streamers I know that feel the same way. They'll say, the thing I can't say, the jabby jab, the thing I'm not supposed to talk about, or they'll shut me down. Like, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to be that guy that just, speaks in code to get around the censorship bots. But I'll just keep plugging away until I figure out a way to get past them and to beat them at their own game. And it's a long game. I'm playing the long game. I don't care about the short-term gains or losses as much as what I'm looking 10 years down the road, not 10 days in front of me. Pretty much everything I do right now, I'm trying to see down the road, like, is this the right decision for the long term versus, I do have to, like, how do I survive to pay rent next month? That's definitely a thing. How do I get to the next, how do I get to next month and pay my bills? That's definitely, how do I get to the end of the month and make sure the probation officer doesn't climb up my ass because I didn't do enough hours, or, I got to submit my paycheck stubs and my invoices for my freelance work. And what if he climbs up my ass because he doesn't think I'm doing enough or whatever? Like, it's just, I do have these short-term things I got to worry about. Going to look for a car is taking away time from my freelance work, but my clients are cool. They're just like, do what you got to do, man. They're all on my side. They want to see it. One client is telling me, he's like, I'll help you out if you want to get a more expensive car. And I'm like, no, just let me do what, I don't want to get into any entanglements. So, whatever, it's nice to have friends. It's definitely nice to have friends and to be meeting new people and all this new stuff. But, what the hell? Might have to. Okay. I don't know. Si's heard some noise outside. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff that I have to get from one month to the next without losing my shirt. But most of the decisions that I'm making are more based on what's better for the long run if the short term doesn't make any sense. And so, like, I took a hit on my YouTube channel just for changing the format of, instead of posting a video every day that I recorded a week and a half ago, I'll do more live streams, and then not having the ads run during the live stream. All that, I won't be making $100 a month off the ads because of that decision. It'll probably go back to taking 4 months to get $100. But I'm doing it because I don't care about the money. I just care about, like, I'm trying to make better content. So the long game is what I'm looking at in term. I'm looking at, like, the long run, like, down the road. Is this going to be the right move? and it probably is. I just don't. But the short-term gains will probably go down for a while I'm rethinking everything through. I'm getting a bunch of random video equipment from Amazon Vine, just camera gadgets that'll help me shoot better videos. All kinds of cell phone mounts and GoPro camera mounts for all scenarios. And I'm focused on getting a car right now, but I have it in my head like I'm going to do like a whole documentary series of videos about how to be a bicycle commuter, because I've had to do it to survive for the last year. So even if I don't have to do it to survive anymore, it will actually open up, like I'll have the space, time, and energy to make videos about it and actually have the time to do a good job with those videos. So I'm going to try different things. There's lots of different things I can do if I can give myself more time and space to do it. But it is about 2.5 hours into the video now. I got to do laundry, and I'm glad a lot of you showed up. I'm glad we got to talk about some things. I definitely have other things to talk about. I'll probably pop in, maybe do a live stream at some point during the week. Thursdays from 6 p.m. 8 to 8 p.m. Central Standard Time is the normal live stream. These random ones, I might just pop up without any warning or without any like 3-hour advance notice or whatever. I'll just pop up, do a live video. And if nobody were to show up, it's just there to, I'm just going to talk about whatever comes to my mind. And so with that, I am going to get out of here. Thank you all for coming. We'll see each other again. We'll hang out again. The Discord thing. Blue Sky, Chuck, see if you can join the Discord server. If not, let me know. Send me an email. Let me know how that works out. It would be cool to just know how everything works. I'll look into that even more. I may have to create a separate Gmail account just to test some things out with, so that I can log into YouTube and like see what other people see. And I haven't even gotten around to doing that yet. So, but it's not hard to do. Trolls do it so that they can come back and leave troll comments on the channel. One guy had like 15 different YouTube accounts. So, it's not that hard, but, I'll get around to that. And with that, I'm going to say peace out, and we'll talk again.